Ready?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know your system. So
Okay. We will get the June 24th DRC meeting started. Already halfway through the year. How about that? So, okay. First item on the agenda is a review of the Mountain America Credit Union commercial site plan. This is a site plan that's located at 200 East and the intersection 200 East and Main Street. It's old Roebuck property, just that's kind of what's shown there. So it's a new credit union. It's a permitted use in this area. This is a site plan review for it. And it is the DRC is the final approval body for this land use on there. So depending on the actions that the DRC could do would be to approve or to approve conditions or to table, depending on what's needed, if there's any additional items that feels are needed. So with that, we will we do have on Zoom with us a representative from the architect for Mountain America. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. If you could, your names for that for us, just for the minutes, please.
Yes, my name is Brooke Bean, and I work for Sanders Associate Architect.
And Shane Sanders, Principal Architect.
Awesome. Thank you. So with that, we'll go around the DRC with any comments or questions that the respective departments may have, and we'll start with planning with Aspen.
Just as a reminder, the elevations will need to be reviewed by the ARC, and you can just set that up with staff.
That meeting's scheduled on an as-needed basis. So
correct.
Once you have everything that they need, Aspen can get that scheduled for you.
Okay.
And just
is there an application online that gives me like the checklist?
There's not a formal application that's needed. I can send the checklist over to you, and then just let me know when you want to set up a time.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. Anything else, Aspen? Okay. Randy with building?
nothing with building right now.
Okay. Mike with police?
Nothing with police right now either.
Okay. Ryan with fire?
Can't remember if I had anything or not. If you'll just skip a couple pictures.
The only question, and I talked with you a little bit about it yesterday, is the access, the exit only access out of for the drive-through portion of it, where the mobile teller and that kind of thing is there. Whether that's needed as emergency egress on that, or if the access around the north and east side of the building is adequate.
The north and east side is going to be adequate because of the drive-through things. I couldn't get a vehicle through there. I couldn't get an emergency vehicle to go in between those poles.
Yeah, to go between these.
So that one can stay at 25 because I can't get in there.
Yep. Okay. So as long as this is 26 feet of asphalt through here, which is what they're showing.
Yes.
We're good there. Okay.
Other than that, I don't have anything.
Sounds good. Jason Calloway, Public Works.
Yeah, I just noticed that you're going to use the existing PI meter, it looked like, and then run a new water meter off of 2nd East. I was looking at that.
Yep.
If we do that, we'll have to kill the line coming off Main Street for the culinary water.
With that, kind of a question or a thought that we had as we were looking at this is a new meter line that was installed. It's a 1-inch meter, and that's the same thing what's being shown and called for on there. I know that we try to limit what's coming off of Main Street, but we can't go into Main Street. There's a no dig rule on Main Street,
which means we can't go kill it.
We can't go kill that one yet. So
can they just use it then if it's just 1 inch?
So that's going to be our recommendation to them.
Okay.
Correct.
All right.
If a 1-inch meter is adequate to serve the site and serve the building, then I would say we'd use that new meter that we installed with the Main Street widening that we did last year.
Okay. That'll work.
It also save you a road cut across 2nd East.
Yep. Yeah, because they're going to use the existing sewer, so it's already stubbed in. So,
Yep.
yep. Okay.
Anything else?
No.
Okay. Norm, administration?
No, I had questions on the access, so I appreciate that, Ryan, helping us understand what public safety is going to need for that. So that was the only concern that I have. And then I guess there's going to be some red lines that you'll address through engineering. So
Correct.
Let
Yep.
that stand.
Okay. Kind of roll down through real quick. So one item on Main Street, currently there's an existing shared drive approach that is located on the eastern property line. It's shared between this property and the property right to the east. You're going to need to coordinate with UDOT on what's needed for that existing drive approach. Historically, because you're having access off of 200 East, that shared drive approach would probably need to go away as part of this. So that'll be a determination that's done by UDOT. So you'll need to coordinate with UDOT to say there is an encroachment permit that would be needed for this, and so you'll need to start that process with UDOT. And you need to show that on there. So kind of on this one, we just measured the distance. Typically, we like to have as much distance as we can from the new access into the site from the intersection. Typically, that's around 150. However, knowing the site, we probably won't be able to get that. So maximizing that as much as we can is needed. I believe that's been done to make sure we're meeting offsets and landscaping requirements, etc. So just always kind of keep that in mind as we want to maximize that distance just so we're not impacting, creating a traffic flow issue as you're coming off of Main Street onto 200 East. And just a note there is a separate sign permit that's needed for the signs on the site and on the building. So you'll need to coordinate with Aspen on that application. Storm drainage, a couple of comments here. We will need to see your calculations, whether a storm drain report or a calculation showing the amount of stormwater needed for the site and the storage required to accommodate any stormwater that's generated. There is, you're required to, per our code, to retain the 25-year event and control the 100-year event. Historically, a lot of site plans have just basically contained and retained on site the 100-year event. So,
which is what we've got. So yeah, I'll get you the calculations on that.
Great, sounds good. And we've already talked about the meter. There is one item that right now there is an existing infiltration gallery that's located north of the curb and gutter that was installed with the Santaquin Main Street project. That curb, that retention base or the infiltration gallery that's there, can't remain underneath the curb and gutter because we found that there's failures that occur from that. And so that'll need to be adjusted and shifted outside of the roadway to back behind the curb and gutter. So it'll be kind of tight between the new curb and gutter and the storm drain or the irrigation pipe that runs through there, but we will need to adjust that gallery a little bit further to the east.
John, do we have calculations and volumes that we can send to them so that they can plan accordingly for that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. We'll include those in these comments as we send out to you.
That'd be great. Thank you.
But it's a fairly simple infiltration gallery. It's a 24-inch perforated pipe with a gravel envelope around it. So pretty straightforward.
Perfect.
No comments on the irrigation pipe that goes through there. On that irrigation pipe, we will need to make sure we get confirmation from Summit Creek Irrigation and Canal Company that they are okay with that new pipeline. That is their facility, and if you're going to pipe it, you need their buy-off on it.
And, and we can help facilitate that communication. We've got contact information for them, so we can, once we get closer and we know where we're at, we can, with the final site plan, we can help coordinate that, John.
Yep.
That'd be great.
And then let's see. Landscaping comments. I won't necessarily go into these because too much. One item that we did want to point out was the fence. I know you do have a fencing proposed along the north property line. There's also residential along the east side of the property. That it's our understanding that the existing storage units that are directly west of the property.
East of the property.
Sorry,
John.
east of property. Thank you. Backwards on my directions today. Thank you. On the east property line, there are storage units. I believe those are 0 setback storage units. I don't know if the property line runs directly behind those or not. But if they are 0, I don't know if we're required to have fence right along there, if they just need to put fencing along the eastern portion where the residential portion is at, or if just make sure they adequately screen that wall. I don't know what the requirement is, if there's anything on there.
There just has to be some kind of screening.
Some type of screening, landscape screening
Yeah.
through there.
From a city aspect, it might just be aesthetically pleasing for the site to have fencing along that wall, even though the roof line and the upper portion of that wall would still show. It might make your site, the MACU Credit Union site, look better to just have fencing all the way around it. We're not requiring it necessarily if those buildings adjacent to it to the east are 0 lot line or 0 setback, but it might just be aesthetically pleasing to add a fence that's continuous and contiguous around the property,
May look a little
as it is required on the north and the southeast portion.
Mountain America is replacing that fence. They have spoken with the owner of the storage unit, and they are okay because there's actually barbed wire on the top of it. They're okay losing the barbed wire and having the fence that Mountain America has proposed to you, so it will be fenced across right there.
great. Okay. I don't think there's anything other notes wise on landscaping unless there's something you want to point out, Aspen. Landscaping. So, okay. And I believe that was it. So, I believe that's all the comments. So, is there anything else that we missed, or questions or other thoughts that we had on this?
So I have, sorry, go ahead, Randy. I have some clarification on the ARC. That can go concurrently, right? And so I would just encourage you to get that moving forward and just get a hold of Aspen, and she can get that scheduled and get that moving forward at the same time that we're going through the site plan process. It doesn't have to wait.
Okay.
Also, the building itself, are they not required to be 2-story along Main Street? Are we considering that 2-story with that high entrance there, or what's?
It's a different zone, right, John? This is outside of the the Central Business District, so
It is outside the Central Business District. It is still inside the Main Street Commercial.
Okay.
And so architecturally wise, that's where we'll have to look through as the Architectural Review Committee looks at those.
Yeah, they'll look at that as they go through that. That'll be part of ARC review.
So, okay. Any other questions, thoughts, comments? If not, I would look for a motion on this.
John, I think there's still enough yet to be done on this with the UDOT coordination, storm drain, and other items that we would table this. So I'd make a motion to table and bring it back once the red lines are addressed.
Okay. Got a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Randy. Any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, we'll go to a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay. The application has been tabled. We will send these comments and everything over to you in addition to the storm drain calcs regarding that infiltration gallery, and get those turned around back to us. Again, we can get you scheduled for the next DRC. So,
Okay.
Thank you.
yep. Thanks, everyone.
Okay.
The next item on the agenda is review of the Tanner Flats Phase 3 final subdivision application. This is the basically the phase is located in the northeast corner of this overall development. Some background on this: they did recently go through an amendment to a development agreement that was approved by the city council in April, I believe, and it's been and gone through there. They've done a preliminary on the overall changes to that plat. And this is the next basically the next phase 3 that they're going to work on going into construction on. And so that's the DRC today is the final approval body for a final plat application that this one is. And so if there's the options or the actions that the DRC could make today is whether we approve conditions or table to address any comments that are there. So with that, we'll start with planning to go into your comments that you may have.
We just need some clarification on which one you're using as the plat, because the cover page and like page 4 look like the same. So if you can just establish that, and then whichever one is going to be the plat needs to include the proposed addressing.
Okay, that's good. Oh, real quick, those that are on for the application, if you guys could introduce yourselves just for the minutes. So,
Don Herring with Region.
thank you.
And John Bowen with Ivory Development.
Great. Can say, and Lee Cox, is that you with Ivory or? Oh, Mountain America, got you. Okay. Okay. Thanks. Sorry, a little bit of admin there. So go ahead, Randy. Any comments you may have?
I went through an established addressing on the plat map, so that's there for them to add to it.
Okay. Mike, police.
Nothing.
Okay. Ryan, fire.
I didn't see anything.
Okay. Jason, Public
No.
Works.
Good.
Okay. Norm with admin.
Just wanted to make sure we're still showing a sewer lateral to the park area. Is that correct on the plans?
That's correct.
They are providing that. Okay.
Yep.
And then I'll just let you go through red line comments.
Okay. Kind of go through these real quick. There's a couple of distances and bearings that need to be verified and checked to make sure everything works through there. There is, with the existing sewer that runs through here, we need to make sure we have an easement that encompasses that sewer line that goes out towards the railroad tracks and to the north.
And John, that goes along with Aspen's comment. Let's make sure we show that on the right sheet, whichever one's going to be
Correct.
the plat sheet.
Yep, whichever sheet's associated with the Mylar on there, so it's recorded. Yeah, some bearings on there, just some kind of cleanup on the plat. Those comments may show up on both of them, so make sure you're just making sure those line up, Sean. Let's kind of load up. You can save comments on the plat. So a couple of comments, excuse me, regarding the open space improvements. There's a couple of holdover pictures that are shown on this that have been shown on previous iterations. We need to update the look of those basically to match closer to what's being proposed will be that will be installed for both the playground equipment as well as the surface, just to help with any clarification on what's going in and what's not. To make sure that, again, the pavilion is a metal frame structure, not a timber frame with the metal roof. It calls out per specifications. However, we just need to make sure we update the picture to something that's a little more closer to being accurate with that. That's for both the tot lot as well as the pavilion. Additionally, for the pickleball court, because that'll be become city infrastructure and city owned on that, will please provide specifications on how you propose to build that court in regards to that.
So, John, can I make a comment on that? And this is for Ivory and the engineer. We would prefer to have that post-tension, although that's not part of our spec and code right now. If that's possible, that's great. If it's not, please also just send the details of how you're going to do that.
Yep. And then we'll handle that more in the construction, but just be aware that you'll need to send a submittal of all the irrigation equipment to us for review prior to that going in. So I believe, sorry, it's taking a little bit to load. One comment that I say kind of on these grading plans that I wanted to point out was some of them, I don't know if these building pads are the final. Is this kind of what you're anticipating the final building pad will be for the homes?
Exactly.
Just be aware that our maximum slope on a driveway is 12%. And that's fairly steep for a driveway, but some of these, the grading at the front setback down to the road looks like it could be fairly steep. So just making sure that those driveways aren't getting, you're not too steep on there. So especially I would point out kind of these two, because typically driveways are put on the uphill side of when they're built on a slope, they're put up on the uphill side of the building. Some of those could be fairly steep or could be there. So just making sure you're checking that grading so the driveways aren't too steep.
Sean, can you speak to that? Do you know what those grades are off the top of your head?
We don't go above that percentage either. That's more how we can leave the pads for our construction guys. So we have if we have to build a pad, that's more what that design is there for. So we're not building on undocumented fill. That's just to make sure if we have any areas that we have to geotech observe while we get lots prepped for our home side.
Okay, sounds good. So, yeah, just you go through construction, keep that in mind. And other than that, I don't believe there was any other.
So, John, I have a question on the storm drain, and maybe Sean can speak to this. So, this new preliminary plan that was approved previously now addresses all storm drain for this, 135 homes or whatever it is, that all of it goes to this park area. Is that correct, Sean?
All of it goes to the park, yeah, and it's split basically 50-50 with pond volume and LID volume.
And where is the LID in the bottom of the pond?
Right.
And so I presume, since we haven't looked at an overall utility plan yet for the whole thing, or for the other phases, I guess is the better way to put it, the future phases, all the piping and everything that you're doing is sufficient, and the storm drain report reflects that?
It does, because we did look at that with the re-preliminary.
Okay.
We did look at this.
And there's sufficient volume between the pond volume and the perk, or I mean the LID, to handle the entire subdivision?
Yes. Per the storm drain report you provided, Sean.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I believe those are all the main comments we've got. There's erosion control and details. Yep. It's all the comments there that we have for this. So any other thoughts, comments, or questions that we haven't covered? If not, I would look for a motion on this.
So, John, just a question on this. With the red lines that are here, it looks like we've got some plat closure issues. We've got some stuff that needs to be shown on the plat for the easement and other things, and then also for the playground equipment and the pavilion. Are those the major comments that we have?
Yes, those are the major comments that we've got.
Am I also to understand that the addressing was not shown or provided on these plans, but now we have provided that back to them?
Yes. Yeah, we've included that, all the addressing associated with this. Little minor cleanups on the plat.
So tell me
some
procedurally, addressing happens on final, right? Not
That's
on preliminary. So it's not something that we would have looked at when we went through the preliminary review.
That's correct.
Okay.
Any thoughts on a motion?
So it looks like to me that we're kind of on the edge of some things that still need to be addressed, and yet at the same time, it's engineering and planning to make sure that we meet code, addressing, playground, that kind of thing. So I would make a motion to approve conditional upon the red lines being addressed and showing that all of those items meet code.
Yep.
And I just want to emphasize this is conditional. It's not just moving forward without those conditions being met.
Okay. Got a motion? Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mike. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll go to a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay, motion passes. We'll get these comments again sent over to you. If you'll work on getting them addressed, Sean, and we'll work on getting bonding and everything put together and get rolling. So,
All right, appreciate it. Thanks, everyone.
yep. Thank you. And then last item on the agenda is the approval of the June 10th DRC meeting minutes.
Motion to approve.
Motion, is there a second?
I'll second. No, Mike can second. Aspen.
Looks like Aspen, looks
We
like
can
you
fight
get
over
it. So, okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes, minutes are approved, and there's not any other things that need to be brought up. I would look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We are adjourned at 10:27 a.m.